It started on an ordinary Tuesday evening. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving behind streaks of orange and pink in the sky. I was sitting on our worn leather couch, scrolling through my phone with half-hearted interest. My wife, Emily, was in the kitchen preparing dinner. The sound of pots clanging and the faint smell of garlic filled the air. It was a typical evening in our home, or so I thought. The spark of suspicion wasn't born out of paranoia but rather a series of small, almost imperceptible changes. Emily had become more guarded with her phone, always keeping it face down and taking it with her wherever she went. Her laughter had grown more frequent but distant, as if she were sharing private jokes with someone else. I had brushed off these feelings for weeks, convincing myself that I was being overly sensitive. But that evening, curiosity got the better of me. While she was in the kitchen, her phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at her to make sure she wasn't watching, then quickly picked it up. A message preview from someone named Alex flashed on the screen. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." My stomach dropped. I placed the phone back down, careful to leave it exactly as I found it. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to process what I had just seen. Who was Alex? And what did he mean by last night? Emily had told me she was working late yesterday. That's when I decided to dig deeper. After dinner, Emily said she was going to take a bath. As soon as I heard the water running upstairs, I grabbed my laptop. I knew Emily used the same password for most of her accounts, a combination of her childhood pet's name and her birth year. It was a long shot, but I decided to try logging into her social media. To my surprise, the password worked. But what I found wasn't her usual Facebook or Instagram account. Instead, there was a completely separate profile I had never seen before. The profile picture was a younger, flirtier version of Emily. The name on the account wasn't even hers. She had used an alias, Emma Rose. My hands trembled as I clicked through the posts and messages. Her profile was a vibrant, curated gallery of photos and updates I had no knowledge of. Pictures of her smiling at what looked like fancy restaurants, attending parties, and even lounging on a beach I didn't recognize. The captions were playful and full of life, nothing like the reserved woman I thought I knew. Then, I found the messages. Alex's name appeared frequently in her inbox. Their exchanges were filled with flirtation, inside jokes, and plans to meet up. The most recent messages left no room for doubt. "Alex, last night was unforgettable. I love the way you laugh. Emily, I needed that. You make me feel alive again." Alive again. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Was she saying she felt dead with me? I couldn't confront her immediately. My emotions were a tangled mess of anger, heartbreak, and confusion. I needed more information. Over the next few days, I became a detective in my own marriage. I checked her location history, monitored her social media activity, and even followed her once when she said she was going to the gym. It turned out she wasn't going to the gym at all. She met Alex at a small cafe across town. Sitting in my car that day, watching them laugh and touch each other's hands through the cafe window, was the moment. It became real. It wasn't just messages or pictures, this was happening right in front of me. Emily, my wife, my partner, the woman I'd shared 10 years of my life with, was cheating on me. When she came home that evening, she acted as if nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and sat next to me on the couch to watch TV. The sheer normalcy of her actions made my anger boil beneath the surface. How could she lie so easily? How could she pretend everything was fine? I spent the next few days wrestling with the decision of what to do. Should I confront her? Should I leave? Should I try to save our marriage? The questions were endless, and the answers felt impossible to find. Every time I looked at her, I saw the woman I loved in the stranger who had betrayed me. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. One evening, after dinner, I sat her down at the table. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "Emily," I began, "I need to talk to you about something. And I need you to be honest with me." Her face froze for a moment before she forced a smile. "Of course. What's on your mind?" I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots I'd taken of her messages with Alex. Placing the phone on the table, I slid it toward her. Her face went pale as she stared at the screen. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence was deafening. How long has this been going on? I asked, my voice cracking despite my efforts to stay composed. She looked up at me, tears welling in her eyes. I don't know what to say. Try starting with the truth, I said, my anger finally bubbling to the surface. Emily broke down then, confessing everything. She said she had felt neglected and unappreciated, that our marriage had grown stale, and that Alex made her feel special. I never meant for it to go this far, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. Her words felt hollow. I wanted to believe her, but how could I? The woman I thought I knew had been living a double life right under my nose. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. That night, I packed a bag and left. I needed space to think, to process, to figure out what I wanted. Staying under the same roof felt unbearable. I checked into a motel and spent hours staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage in my mind. Was there something I could have done to prevent this? Was I to blame for her actions? The questions were endless, but the answers were elusive. All I knew was that the life I had built with Emily was shattered, and picking up the pieces would be the hardest thing I'd ever done. The days that followed were a blur. Emily called and texted constantly, begging for forgiveness, promising to end things with Alex and work on our marriage. Part of me wanted to believe her, to give her a second chance. But another part of me, the part that had watched her laugh with Alex in that cafe, couldn't let go of the betrayal. In the end, I knew I had a choice to make. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, but so is self-respect. Whether or not we could rebuild our marriage, I wasn't sure. But one thing was certain, things would never be the same.